Namaskar, I'm Abhik Ganguly, and today I'm here to present my paper on tracing the influence of Shakta Tantric tradition on Ramprasad Sen's Bhakti poetry. Bharatvarsh has a rich cultural and spiritual heritage of mystics who in their respective incarnations have illuminated the multiple paths to divinity in the form of songs and poems. Just like the other melodious mystics, Sen's songs also had one thing in common with them: to quench the thirst of the finite being of an individual with the nectar of the supreme consciousness of the infinite. The great master Sri Ramakrishna Paramhans would often go into a trance by singing Sen's songs. As the monk Swami Bodhananda writes, the language, mood, bhav, imagery and humor of Ram Prasad's songs suited Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual temper so well that he remained a lifelong singer of his songs. Ramprasad Sen was believed to have taken birth in a Tantric Vaidya family either in the year 1718 or 1723 in the village of Kumarhattu, earlier known as Halishohar. The earliest biography of Sen to surface was Ishwar Chandra Gupta's edition, which was published in 1853. Gupta's biography says that Ram Prasad was sent to a Sanskrit Tod, where he mastered the Vyakarana, Grammar and Kavya, poetry, within a short span of time. Though Ram Sen, Ram Prasad's father, was more interested in his son following him on the ancestral occupation of Ayurveda, his materialistically oriented father then sent him to learn Persian and Hindi, which he believed would help Ram Prasad in the future, since Bengal was then under the Muslim rule. Eventually, Ram Prasad got a job for 30 rupees per month in the wealthy household of a certain Durgacharan Mitro of Goranhata. Yet he couldn't contain his spiritual longing anymore, and songs such as "Oh Mother, give me your treasurer's ship" would pour out on the account books where he was supposed to write figures of accountancy. His colleagues dragged him to the master to expose his misdeed of mystical fervor, but upon hearing Ram Prasad's poems, Durgacharan Mitra was so moved that he let Ram Prasad have a monthly pension and he made him return to his native village. Another legend from Ram Prasad's life is that he used to often go neck deep in the holy river of Ganga and sing melodious songs devoted to the Divine Mother. These songs would often surge from the Hridaya Ganga of Ram Prasad, where Hridaya Ganga refers to the river of devotion within his heart. It is quite crucial to understand the intricacies and subtleties of Tantra sadhana if one wants to make sense of the coded language that Sen often used in his compositions. The Shakti which creates, maintains, and dissolves the universe is the only way to understand the ultimate or absolute reality, whose realization is the sum and substance of human life. Shakti can be worshipped, but Brahman cannot. The sadhaka learns through Shakti worship as a medium that ultimately Brahman and Shakti are the same, just as fire and its smoldering power are. As per the Shaktic doctrines, Swami Swahananda writes, Shiva is the unchanging consciousness, and Shakti is its changing power, appearing as mind and matter. Shiva Shakti is therefore consciousness and its power, where the former is God as they exist and the latter is our perception of them. The Kubjika Tantra stresses that it is not Brahma, Vishnu and Rudra who create, maintain and destroy, but Brahmi, Rudrani and Vaishnavi. Their husbands are but as dead bodies. The perception of the Divine Mother occurs in two forms, either a form of unparalleled beauty or in the form of terrible form, in which she is strikingly fearful. Goddess Kali is the emanation of the latter form. A sadhak can truly perceive her all-encompassing grace when they do nothing but completely self-surrender at the feet of Mother, who is variously known as death of the old man, Manonasha, instruction of the mind, or Chitta Vritti Nirodha, which is stilling the wave of the mind. The Kularnava Tantra elucidates how the body is the temple of God, Jiva is Sadashiva. Let him give up his ignorance as the offering that is thrown away and worship with the thought and feeling, I am He. Therefore, in the worship of Shakti, karma is the ceremonial embodiment of the Jnana-Kanda teaching and is intended to bring it about. Nothing in it goes against the knowledge of Brahma. This philosophy gained a lot of traction in Bengal, where Shaktas make up the majority of the upper class Bengalis. Ram Prasad's poetry is derived from the Kulanava Tantra, which happens to be an ancient source of logic and philosophy that serves as foundation for not only Sen's poetry but also Bengali Shakta Tantric practice. According to biographical evidence, Sen spent many years engaging in Kundalini Yoga meditation. This belief is further bolstered by his own writings, some of which were derived from the Tantric scriptures that gave darshan of Ma Kali. The plan of sadhana, termed as Panchamakara, appropriately acknowledges and caters to his desires. The Panchamakara or the 5 M's are Madhya, wine, Mamsa, meat, Matsya, fish, Mudra, parched grain, and finally Maithana, which is sexual intercourse. Only left-hand path tantrics, Brahmacharans, literally practice these components in order to break societal customs, whereas right-hand path tantrics, Dakshinacharans, reject these and instead advocate a metaphorical path for these 5 articles. Shaktas have 4 sampradayas, lineages: Kashmira, Kerala, Gauda, and Vilasha. The 3 stages of evolution that man undergoes in Tantric sadhana are Pashu, animal, Veera, heroic, and Divya, divine, which correspond to the 3 gunas called Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Man's gross being is made up of these 3 gunas. The sadhaka advances from Pashu Bhav to Divya Bhav by arousing the Kundalini Shakti with the help of sadhana, image worship, and the aid of Panchamakara possessions. Ramprasad's poetry can be broadly classified into 2 categories: the spontaneous outpourings of a mystic that burst out of his mind with spouts of inspiration, and the second category being the compositions that were deliberately written by a mystic, such as Kaviranjan Vidyasundar, which he wrote after being commissioned by Maharaja Krishnachandra of Naval. Where the former possesses the characteristics of mantra, the latter possesses the characteristics of kavya. Kundalini, which is described as energy and which resides within the body, is typically located at the bottom of the spine in Tantric scriptures. That is the source of Kundalini Yoga. Kundalini is thought to be dormant in conventional Tantric systems until it is awakened, as in the case of doing yoga, and directed upwards through the central channel in the course of attaining enlightenment. The chakras are essentially 7 in number: Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddha, Agnya, and Sahasrara, where each of them has different number of petals with letters of the alphabet engraved on them, and is assigned a resident god, goddess, animal, element, 1-syllable mantra, and sound to be enjoyed as one passes through it. These centers are strung on a certain pathway known as the Sushumna. Tantric sadhaks often meditate at special spots that have spiritual power. Ram Prasad would meditate in a garden near his house called the Panchavati, which consisted of Ashvatha, Amalaki, Ashoka, Bilba, and Bata trees. He would make a Panchamundi asana, seat of 5 skulls, of a frog, snake, rabbit, fox, and man, and go into the most severe form of meditation on auspicious days such as Ekadashi, Purnima, and Amavasya. The fabled Panchavati continues to survive to this date, where Shakta worshippers often come to pray to goddess Kali and offer homage to Sadhu Ram Prasad. Usually, Shakta poets often refrain from explicitly mentioning the Panchamakaras or meditating at graveyards undertaken by these tantric practitioners. For example, Ram Prasad's The World Mother's Police Chief Goes Strolling in the Dead of the Night is one of those rare Shakta poems which is explicitly centered on the rituals of the cremation grave. Similarly, there is another poem called The Black Woman Full of Virtue, where Shiva is referred to as the Great Lord, Mahadeva, the slayer or bewitcher of lust, Kama, and the enemy of the demon Tripura, also known as Tripurari. Kali defeats demons on the battlefield before triumphantly standing on Shiva's breast. She is gorgeously radiant as a 16-year-old, and a vision of her brings forth liberation from the Maya. This focus on imposition of Kali in the heart or the eye of the mind from the point of view of Kundalini Yoga is congruent with how poets like Ram Prasad were described by their biographers as deeply immersed in meditation. Similarly, another poem, taking the name of Kali, Dive Deep Down, O Mind, elucidates how intense meditation or sadhana is required for a sadhak to succeed in their practice. And even if they fail initially, they have to try again with a stronger resolution of mind. As Sri Shivananda writes that intense and constant meditation is extremely necessary for entering into samadhi, where Mother Kali's realm is the last stage of yogic practice by entering into the realm of supreme consciousness or oneness with the Divine Mother. One of Ram Prasad's poems, which gregariously features imagery of Kundalini yoga, is Tongue Call Out Kali Kali. The Agni Chakra is where the Ida, Pingala and Sushumna, known as the three circle channels, converge in a plate between the eyebrows. This poem claims that this convergence, known in Bengali as the Triveni Sangam, the meeting point of the three distributed rivers in Bengal, of Ganga, Jamuna and Saraswati, which is branched of the river Bhagirathi Hooghly, is a spiritual Kashi, and that a customary bath in its waters offers the highest levels of spiritual purification and immanence. Ram Prasad does provide an extremely interesting example of this, whereas this poem also acts as an affirmation of the lore of the goddess Annapurna in his life. Goddess Annapurna, besides being recognized as the Hindu god of food and sustenance, also happens to be the presiding deity of Kashi. Once, while going on his daily routine, Ram Prasad was stopped by an exceptionally beautiful young woman who wanted to hear him sing. He asked her to wait and went to take his bath. Upon returning, he saw something written on the temple wall, where it was written, "I am Annapurna. Came to hear your songs, cannot wait any longer. Go to Kashi and sing before me." Ram Prasad, torn with remorse, started marching for Kashi at once. And as he fell asleep under a tree near the bank of Ganga, the Triveni Sangam in Bengal itself, he got an instruction from the goddess Annapurna, who said, "Stay here and sing for me. Varanasi is not the only place where I live. I pervade the whole universe." Another such poem of Kundalini yoga imagery is the one called "The Black Goddess with the Rodent's Teeth." The poem not only talks of Ida and Pingala, but also goes on to show how a parallel between popular Indian festivals and Kundalini yoga can also be drawn effortlessly by Ram Prasad. For example, Dole, the Vaishnava fair, in which Krishna and Radha are rocked back and forth on a swing and showered with red powder by their devotees, is used to describe the motion of a Kali seated on the platform of the heart lotus, held by the ropes of the three circle channels. Although the Sahasrara Chakra, where the Kundalini mates, is the chakra that receives the most prominence in Ram Prasad's literary oeuvre, two odd evocations perfectly capture the aspirant's fulfillment in this situation: being drunk on divinity and the moonlight. He composed poems that were written by a poet experiencing the bliss of being drunk on the nectar of divinity. The Kundalini Shakti itself has been visualized as a snake by Hindu and Buddhist yogis. Ram Prasad's poem, "My Mind with Sword of Intelligence is Thus," is a poem that skillfully employs the imagery of snakes. Ram Prasad obliquely points out the fallacies of a mind in this poem that isn't extremely focused and instead wanders a lot, thus is unable to subsequently grasp the multitude of potentialities that come with the full awakening of Kundalini yoga. The Muladhara Chakra is the symbolic of the unawareness experienced by a sadhaka, whereas the Sahasrara Chakra is emblematic of the awareness of being one with the Supreme Consciousness. MacDermott believes that when the Shakta poets exclaim that they have arrived in a city where the moon always shines dripping nectar, where there is neither night nor sleep, and where opposites cease, they are usually referring to the topmost chakra, which is the Sahasrara Chakra. Ram Prasad continues to have a rich legacy in Bengal, where poetry and Ma Kali's worship often go hand in hand. Shana Sungit, the genre of songs that evolved from Ram Prasad's literary oeuvre, cuts across the restrictions of class amongst people as it is broadcast over radio and sung on streets and in the homes and temples of Calcutta by a cross-section of people, which includes children, the elderly, housewives, businessmen, scholars, the illiterates, monks, householders, and youth of all classes. With this, I'd like to conclude. Thank you for having me. Namaskar.